All right. It's going to be a tough one. A little shaky. Okay. All right, guys. Today I'm going to be sharing kind of a heavier topic, not a scripted one, not a funny one, just something that I never thought I'd be sharing with many people, especially an online audience. But I know there's so many other people that are just coping with the same issues and they choose to keep it buried and try not to talk about it, and for good reason. But I want to put it out there just in hopes that some people can relate and it helps them, and just they can kind of realize that they're not alone and that's going to be okay. And just kind of as an asterisk, there's so many people out there that are losing their jobs, that are going through health issues, and with the recession, it's tough out there. And even if you don't have like mental health issues or anything, you can still be really sad and depressed and unwell. So it's important to be around high quality people, and just know that you really need to look after your friends and family and check in on them. And so it's already in the title. I'm clinically diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. It is the trifecta.
Just like that, a 3-player swing. Joe's isn't done yet.
And so today I'm going to share with you guys kind of my story, how I've dealt with it from an early age. Like the title says, I didn't even realize that I was clinically depressed or even have anxiety until well into my late 20s. So just living with those things, thinking that there was nothing wrong with me and that I was just maybe stupid or anything, it played a big role. And so I'm going to share with you guys kind of how I've dealt with this from an early age, how I cope with this, and hopefully this helps some of you. And I want to put a disclaimer out there that if you are experiencing like suicidal thoughts or anything like that, I highly suggest you talk to a doctor or suicide prevention hotline, or at least a friend, and know that this isn't medical advice or anything like that. It is just informational and just kind of telling you guys my story. And I hope this is helpful. All right, let's get into it. So I never wanted to receive like a diagnosis. I didn't want to believe that there was something wrong with me or anything like that. So just most of my life, I just kind of dealt with these issues and just tried to tell myself that they weren't real or they didn't exist. But earlier this year, it really got to the point where if I didn't do something about it, that I'm really not sure I would even be here today. It's never a good feeling to be told that there's something wrong with you, and it's still a taboo topic even today. And there's just such a big stigma around like mental illness, and that if you're taking pills or you're going to therapy or anything of that nature, that there's something wrong with you and you're a crazy person. So I grew up with a mom and dad that raised me to believe that I could achieve anything and that there was nothing wrong with me. And I never went to go see a doctor to get diagnosed with ADHD. I was never taking pills or anything like that. I just had a loving family that just instilled in me that I'm handsome and I'm smart and I could do anything I set my mind to. And I don't know if that's true to you guys, but that's how I got brainwashed. And honestly, if I didn't have any of these conditions, I would probably be the most confident person alive. And like I said, it really never occurred to me until well into my 20s that I was living with these conditions. I just thought that I wasn't smart in school, so I wasn't good enough to achieve anything, and that I wasn't worthy of love or success. And I don't know, that's just what I believed. In school, my mind would just often be blank or just scatterbrained. I could never focus, and that's why test taking was so difficult for me. I managed to get good grades in school. I was actually like an honor student in college, and I had terrible test scores. I would get by doing the extra credit, making sure all the work assignments were done, going to office hours, doing everything else but get good grades, because I just couldn't focus and study and do well in those in tests, and I thought I was stupid. And looking back, it was so obvious that I had ADHD, because in grade school, it was the same thing. I couldn't stay still, I couldn't focus, and I ran cross country and track, and that's like how I got all my energy out. And I just want to highlight that, going back to that, school's not for everyone. I felt that I had to go to a 4-year right out of college, and I worked so hard to achieve that because of what others would think of me if I didn't. And I'm glad I went. I met great friends, I learned a lot, it positioned me well in hindsight, but I also feel like I could have had a really great route to probably less student debt, for sure less student debt, if I would have maybe like went to community college and then really understood what I wanted to do. Because in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I still struggle with that today, but it just wasn't probably wasn't the best route for me. So don't let peer pressure of others kind of decide your fate, because if there's something else you want to do, really double down on that. And yeah, I was worried so much about other people thinking I was a loser if I didn't go to a 4-year, and I'm not even friends with them anymore. It's ridiculous. But going back to college, I had a ton of friends. I was homecoming king even at my university, but no one ever even gave it a second thought that I had depression or anxiety issues, or that I was having a really hard time communicating in small groups. And it's just ironic, because I put on such a facade that I was this big, just really high energy guy that wasn't dealing with anything on the inside, and I was. And so yeah, I overall had a great college experience, and no one ever considered that I had any mental health issues. But then after college, I really had a difficult time finding my place in the workforce, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't have kind of a syllabus to check things off anymore. And I was so incredibly anxious, because I was wanting to get a high-paying job like some of my other colleagues and continue to move up the ladder and everything else, but I was stuck in this analysis paralysis state where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just can only describe it as like a GPS that is just buffering but never kind of sets your route, because you don't know your end goal. And this was so frustrating, because whenever I would ask for people for help, they would always say, well, what do you want to do? And I didn't have an answer to that. So it was really hard to seek help, because I didn't really understand who I was at the time. And it just made the depression and anxiety that much worse. And so because of this, I just kind of let the story of my life be written by other people. I would feel just so incredibly depressed and anxious as I would scroll on Instagram and see other friends just continue to climb up the corporate ladder or get married or have kids, and here I am just drinking every weekend, getting by paycheck to paycheck, and not really knowing where my life was going to take me. And I still at that point didn't realize that I had mental health issues that were dictating a big portion of why this was happening. And I could really only describe depression as it's kind of this hollow sense of when someone asks you how you're doing and you just struggle so hard to say you're good, how are you? Because that's just kind of the default answer you give, and you just want to really just cry and lay all your problems on them, but you don't, because you don't want anyone else going through that. Robin Williams has a really great quote about depression. It's spot on. He says, "The saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that." And the other good one is, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, so be kind." Man, he was a legend. But it's so true, because for me, even when I'm struggling with depression, I'm just always trying to go out of my way to make other people's day and make people laugh. And there's people in your life that sometimes don't understand, and they'll say, how can you be depressed? Look at all this great stuff in your life. You have XYZ. And it doesn't matter. You still feel this way no matter what. It's like you're physically there, but it's almost like you're not, kind of like you're kind of seeing your life through a screen. And so you wake up and you have zero energy and you just want to go back to sleep. And that's really like the only thing you look forward to. And you end up getting out of bed and going to work, and then you just look forward to going to bed. And sure, there'll be times where you have these bursts of energy where you get motivated and you want to go to the gym, but then you soon enough get tired again and you just want to go back to going to bed. And it's just like this dark cloud that continues to hover over you that you can't seem to shake off or run away from. It's there. And that's where I think sadness is different than depression, because when you're sad, you generally have an understanding as to why you're sad. Maybe your girlfriend broke up with you or you lost your job. But when you're depressed, you can't conclusively get to the root as to why. It just simply is. And everything in my life started to take a turn for the better once I did decide to get help. And oftentimes this is the hardest part, because you'll delay it. You won't want to seek treatment from a therapist or a psychologist or even talk to friends about it. But I promise you, like, if you take action towards trying to help some of the things you're facing and not do it alone, things will get a lot better. And so I'm really grateful that I found a doctor that isn't like a pill pusher or anything like that, and just following his guidance and like exercising and staying physically fit and sleeping well and eating right has just made all the difference in the world. And I know for a lot of you, all you have to do is just change your sleep and your eating habits and exercise. And that's going to be all you need to change your mental state just tenfold. And that's why self-care is just so important and needs to be a priority and one of the main focuses of this channel. But yeah, there's also people that need additional treatment. And if that's something that you think you might need, then I say at least talk to a doctor. And then another thing that really improved the quality of my life and helped me through my depression was just auditing my friend group. And they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And yeah, sure enough, once I purged myself of the people that just wanted to get wrecked every weekend, and I started attracting people in my life that were succeeding at high levels in building businesses and kind of putting myself around them, it just changed my mental state so much. And instead of like self-comparison, I started to ask for strategies on how I could accomplish my goals and really just humbling my ego. The best thing I can suggest for anyone that's around a loved one with depression is to just be there for them. I know it sounds like really simple, but there's really nothing you can do for them except kind of maybe like put your hand on their shoulder and just kind of make them feel loved and build them up with positive energy and not question while they're depressed, and just kind of understand that this is something that is hard to shake regardless of their environment. And if they snap at you and maybe they like say something rude or anything, it could often be just kind of them releasing these like bad toxins, and it's a burden, I know, but it helps them. Lastly, I want to say that what wasn't beneficial to my depression or anxiety was going on social media so much. I just want to say that this comparison, perfectionist filtered world is just so fake and smoke and mirrors. It's insane. And oftentimes people that are flexing the hardest are usually the ones that are hurting the most or have the most to compensate for. And a lot of it's just so fake. Really just focus on improving yourself and doing you and filtering all that out. So I know I kind of went on a bit of a tangent talking about all these different things, and I just want to say I hope that at least someone watching got something positive out of this, into knowing that they're not alone and that these feelings are real and valid, and that you can live a really great life with all these conditions. You just kind of have to find what works for you and what doesn't, and not give up and just say screw you to the negative thoughts. For a while, I was beating myself up for not starting this channel 10 years ago when I was working with my buddy who had a very successful channel, and I realized that I didn't have my why then, and I think I do now, and I really want to share that with a lot of people. I didn't have the confidence to make a channel either back then, and it really took a lot of self-development and learning how I deserve happiness and how I am capable of giving back and helping people out. And I hope that this message can be shared with people that really benefit from it. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'm happy I got to share my story and kind of tell you guys a little bit more about who I am, what I'm dealing with, and hopefully help some of you. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. That took a lot of energy out of me today, but I'm glad it's out there and hopefully it is helping some of you. Life's a crazy ride. There's no one size fits all, and I'm still working on myself, but I hope that more and more people start to open up and continue to talk about these issues that are really affecting people and not just clout chase on the internet. I'm tired of only sharing highlights. Let's shift the narrative. Thanks for listening. Peace.